Alright everyone, welcome back to another video. Last time we left off with the GIs take over a Mussolini project. Just them, soldiers doing goofy things in a Colosseum-esque amphitheater, I guess, more that Mussolini had made. But we're now on to D-Day, France's Day of Liberation. June 6th, 1944. The German Atlantic Wall has been breached. Early in the morning of Tuesday, June 6th, thousands of American, Canadian, and British soldiers, under the cover of the greatest air and sea bombardment of history, broke through the impregnable perimeter of Germany's European fortress. In the first phase of the invasion and liberation of the continent, despite underwater obstacles and beach defenses, which in some areas extended for more than 1,000 yards inland on the Normandy beachhead, the landings were made with a minimum of casualties. Most of Germany's coastal batteries in the invasion area were silenced by 10,000 tons of bombs and by shelling from 640 naval ships. The two naval task forces, that led the invasion were commanded by Rear Admiral Sir Philip Vian, who won fame while commanding the destroyer Cossack early in the war, and Rear Admiral Alan Goodrich Kirk of the United States Navy. The two naval forces included one 16-inch gun battleship, the British Warspite, an American battleship, the Nevada, a veteran of Pearl Harbor, the U.S. cruiser Augusta and Belfast, Black Prince, and Orion, and shoals of destroyers flying the Stars and Stripes and the White Ensign. Steaming through the English Channel, swept by 200 British minesweepers, the men of war escorted thousands of landing craft, transports, and assault craft, bearing General Sir Bernard, I always say his name wrong, L. Montgomery's landing forces to the beaches of Cherbourg Peninsula and other points along the Normandy coast. The large airborne forces that were dropped and landed in the night were already assembling behind the Atlantic Wall as the first troops, some of whom are seen in this picture, right here obviously, scrambled up the beaches. Dawn was the climax of the first phase of the invasion. Wave after wave of American bombers took up the task of flattening the German defenses and silencing guns. The battle to liberate Europe from the Nazi oppressors was on in earnest. So yeah, obviously, the battle's been kind of going on for a while. They get held up in Rome. The Soviets are pushing from the east, but they get held up in Rome for a while, or not just Rome, but Italy in general, for a while. And it lends to where the Americans get what they want, which is this is what America wanted. They wanted this landing here, and the Soviets did as well. So because they get held up in Italy, which is what the British wanted, they say, okay, we're going to go on to this plan because it helps, make Stalin happy too. So they do this. And they say light casualties. In some places there were pretty light casualties, but other places there were not light casualties. Omaha. I believe it was Omaha, yeah, because Utah is the one that I think was less so. But Omaha Beach was disastrous. There were heavy casualties there. So the generals observe a landing. June 6th, 1944. Oh, whoops. Let me try to get that back in focus for you. There we go. A beachhead is stormed. On the deck of a warship off the coast of France, Major General Rolf Royce left, this guy right here, Deputy Commander of the 9th Air Force, Lieutenant General Omar N. Bradley, this guy right here, Commander of American Ground Forces, and the boss, Dwight D. Eisenhower, Supreme Allied Commander of the invasion forces. Watch American assault troops on Normandy beachhead. So right here. Yeah, they're watching obviously after the beach has been taken, more or less. There's a lot of these photos that they show are kind of either after the fact or reenactments to a small degree. And the idea was because they wanted to show the public kind of what they went through, but I don't believe there was very many, if any, photos of the actual landings. But still, these give a good idea of the amount of men, supplies, what they would have kind of gone through a little bit, depending on the beach. So. The Canadians land and move on Caen. June 6th, 1944. The foe moves up for the battle. A camouflaged German tank moving to its battle station as armored units of the Canadian Army clash in battle with German panzer troops in the advance south of Caen, which was to prove a hard nut for the Allies to crack. In the picture below, Canadian invaders of the beachheads take time out for some hot food as they're landing craft near shore. Yeah, so obviously we can't forget all of the landings. There was the Canadians, I think the Anzacs, the British, and then the sorry about that. And then the Americans. So I believe the Anzacs and the Canadians both had a single beachhead each. I don't know why, but those names are eluding me. I can't think of them. The British had two, which was Sword and Gold. And then the Americans had Omaha and Utah. Omaha and Utah are kind of in the middle. And on each side of them are either the Anzacs, the Canadians, or the British. Could be wrong. I could... Yeah. I'm trying to remember exactly, but they'll maybe get into it. Over the Top 1944 version. June 7th, 1944. Allied invasion of France. Leaving behind the other troops, taking a breather after gaining the comparative safety offered by a concrete wall, American troops move near the crest of a hill to the interior of northern France. The other men will shortly follow their buddies over the crest. This picture is reminiscent of trench warfare as practiced in the First World War. Then, the infantry was sent over the top in waves from series of trenches, which were the foxholes of modern war. So yeah, obviously, like they said, this is reminiscent of World War I, over the top, things like that. Which, yeah, trench warfare, pretty effective. So if you can do it in some kind of way, you're gonna try to do it because, well, it really is effective for defense. First aid for friend and foe. June 7th, 1944. Beachhead casualties. Oh, there we go. In the picture at top, an American medical officer makes a casualty report on a wounded soldier, while in the picture below, an American medical officer treats a wounded German prisoner on the beachhead gained by American troops in the early stages of the invasion of France. Okay, I don't know why. I apologize. It's not wanting to focus very well here. Trying to get it, but yeah, obviously prisoner of war, they're going to treat to some degree. Okay, I'm going to try to turn pages here. But yeah, so the Allies made sure that they could effectively help all. Nazi defenses at a low ebb in the morning after. June 7th, 1944. Underwater obstacles. There we go. Ebbing tide of a French beachhead reveals a long stretch of skeleton obstructions erected by the Nazis. At high tide, the water veils these structures, which are a menace to ships' bottoms. Even shallow draft landing craft in the foreground are wrecked. Allied trucks and tanks, the cost of a victorious D-Day. So yeah, we can see the wrecked tanks there and the trucks. Yeah, a lot of this defenses were set up more or less by Rommel. Rommel's like, we got to get defenses here, because when he first gets the defense line of Normandy and that whole line of defenses on that beachhead, they're not in this form. They're pretty much in shambles. They've got a few troops, but they're usually younger men, things like that. Men that are on reprieve, basically, from the Soviet front. But he sets up all these hedgehogs, which are anti-tank obstacles. He sets up, I'm trying to remember what these are actually called, the water ones, but they are, yeah, obviously meant to beach a ship or destroy the bottom of a ship, so it makes it hard to land anything on here. There's mines in the water, there's barbed wire everywhere, you can kind of see right here. So the Germans had a good defense here, but obviously the Allies do overwhelm it. Just shows the fighting force and ingenuity of the Allies, but also the weakness of the Germans. They had a superior defensive force here, but it doesn't throw off the Allies like many thought it would. There's actually a little bit, and where this is going to be the end of this video, but in the next video they may talk about it. But there were tanks and things like that the Germans had to effectively counterattack here, but they don't get used because Hitler had the direct control of them. But they didn't want to wake him up and tell him the news that the Allies had landed, which kind of shows sometimes fear, not just sometimes, a lot of times, fear is not a good way to lead a country, because they were too afraid to tell him and wake him up. When if they would have told him and woken him up, they may have thrown off the Allies. Now, obviously, that wouldn't be good for history, but it would be good for them, per se. And so it's just an interesting thought, what would have happened if he would have been woken. But with that, that's going to do it for this video. If you guys liked the video, leave a like. If you didn't, leave a comment. Tell me what I could improve on. I always appreciate your feedback. And as always, subscribe. It really does help out the channel. Thank you.